Test.
All right, good morning. Everyone's got sound? Everyone's good? All right, good morning. At approximately 7:20 this morning, we had a terror-related incident in the subway in the passageway between 42nd and 8th and 42nd and 7th. The governor's going to speak, the mayor's going to speak. I'm going to give you some more details. Dan Nigro is going to talk about some of the minor injuries, and then Joe Loda is going to talk about subway service. Governor?
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. The first news this morning was obviously very frightening and disturbing. When you hear about a bomb in the subway station, which is in many ways one of our worst nightmares, the reality turns out better than the initial expectation and fear. You had a number of law enforcement agencies that did a fantastic job. The NYPD, the PAPD, the Port Authority Police, the MTA Police, they were all on it. You see behind us representatives of all the agencies coordinated. The Assistant Director of the FBI, Bill Sweeney, is here. So everyone worked together. There was an explosion. The police commissioner will go over the details. It was an effectively low-tech device. There were several injuries, we hope minor, and it was handled extraordinarily well. There was a disruption in train service and bus service while a sweep was being done. That's all being restored now, as you'll hear from Joe Loda. The subway service, except at 42nd Street, is being restored. The Port Authority bus terminal is reopened, so buses will be running once again. This is New York. The reality is that we are a target by many who would like to make a statement against democracy, against freedom. We have the Statue of Liberty in our harbor, and that makes us an international target. We understand that. With the internet now, anyone can go on the internet and download garbage and vileness on how to put together an amateur level explosive device. And that is the reality that we live with. The counter reality is that this is New York, and we all pitch together, and we are a savvy people, and we keep our eyes open, and that's what See Something, Say Something is all about. And we have the best law enforcement on the globe, and we're all working together extraordinarily well. I want to thank the mayor and the mayor's office for doing a great job this morning. And we will go forward, and we'll go forward together. All the service will resume. Let's go back to work. We're not going to allow them to disrupt us. That's exactly what they want. And that is exactly what they're not going to get. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor. Let's be clear, as New Yorkers, our lives revolve around the subways. When we hear of an attack in the subway, it's incredibly unsettling. And let's be also clear, this was an attempted terrorist attack. Thank God the perpetrator did not achieve his ultimate goals. Thank God our first responders were there so quickly to address the situation, to make sure people were safe. Thank God the only injuries, as we know at this point, were minor. But I agree 100% with the governor's point that the choice of New York is always for a reason.
Yeah,
because we're a beacon to the world, and we actually show that a society of many faiths and many backgrounds can work. And we show that democracy can work.
Yeah, because I literally have like a dozen
want to undermine that. The terrorists want to undermine that, so they yearn to attack New York City. But New York City is blessed with the finest law enforcement. And what our first responders did today was another example, the ability to address the situation quickly, contain it, and make sure people are safe. Let me just say, it's very important for my fellow New Yorkers to know there are no additional known incidents at this time. There are no additional known activities. We will wait for a fuller investigation, of course, by the NYPD and the MTA police and Port Authority police and FBI. But at this point in time, all we know of is one individual who, thank God, was unsuccessful in his aims. There are also no credible and specific threats against New York City at this time. But we will give you more information, of course, as the investigation unfolds. The first responders responded brilliantly. Now the mission of the NYPD is to secure all major transit hubs and major sites in this city. So you'll see expanded NYPD presence today all over the city. New Yorkers have come to understand when you see our specialized forces, when you see those long guns and those highly trained officers, that's something that's to be reassuring to you. It means NYPD is on full alert and out in force, and that means you're safe. Finally, want to say, the governor invoked that phrase. We can't say it enough times. When you see something, say something. This is the difference maker. We've seen it time and again. When an everyday New Yorker sees something that doesn't make sense, hears something, sees a package, gets a feeling that something's wrong, don't hold it to yourself. Tell a police officer. They are the ones who can act on it. It's so important to speak up because you could be saving many lives by doing so. I'll finish by saying this. This is the most resilient place on earth. We've proven it time and time again. We proved it just over a month ago. We proved it on 9/11. We're going to prove it again today. The terrorists will not in. We're going to keep being New Yorkers. Let's get back to work. Thank you.
Right, these are the preliminary facts. So it just happened a couple hours ago, so you have to understand these are preliminary facts. At approximately 7:20, in a below-ground walkway, which connects the IMD line at 42 and 8th Avenue with the IRT line at 42 and 7, and that's the shuttle at Times Square and the 1, 2, and 3 train. Police were called to a reported explosion. Responding units found an injured 27-year-old male. We've identified him as Akayed Ullah, Akayed Ullah. He had burns and wounds to his body. Preliminary investigation at the scene indicates this male was wearing an improvised, low-tech explosive device attached to his body. He intentionally detonated that device. Looks like there are 3 other people in the immediate area also sustained minor injuries, but Dan Nigro is going to talk about that. The subject was placed in custody and transported to Bellevue Hospital. Immediate police response to the scene included members of the Transit Bureau, Emergency Service Division, Bomb Squad, Counterterrorism, MTA police, state troopers, and the FBI's Joint Terrorist Task Force. In addition, the NYPD Strategic Response Group and Critical Response Command were assigned to other key transportation hubs and other locations throughout the city as a precautionary measure. This incident was captured on transit system video. A further review and interview of witnesses is underway. A thorough background investigation into Akayed Ullah is being conducted by the Joint Terrorist Task Force. We are asking anyone who may have any information about this individual or incident to call the terror hotline, and that's 888-NYC-SAFE. Just as the governor said, and as the mayor said, we are New Yorkers. We don't live in fear. If you see something that doesn't look right, you have an obligation to come forward, call 911, flag down a cop, and give us a chance to investigate it. Dan Nigro is going to talk about the injuries now. Dan?
Thank you, Jim. As Police Commissioner mentioned, the perpetrator detonated the device. It caused burns to the hands and the abdomen, also lacerations. Our EMS personnel removed the perpetrator to Bellevue Hospital, where they're being treated now. 3 other people that were in proximity of the explosion removed themselves. 2 of them took themselves to Mount Sinai West, 1 to Mount Sinai Queens, all with minor injuries that are consistent with being in the area of the explosion, that is ringing in the ears and headache. So we have 3 minor injuries to people that were in that corridor and serious injuries to the perpetrator. That's it at this time.
Thank you. As the commissioners have both said, and the mayor and the governor both said earlier this morning, we received an alert of the explosion that happened in the tunnel, and immediately the MTA and the Transit Authority shut down the lines on the 8th Avenue line, the A, the C, the E. Many of them were rerouted. I will tell you right now, they are all back. The only disruption we have right now is that on both the 7th Avenue line as well as the 8th Avenue line, we're bypassing the Times Square 42nd Street corridor, and also the shuttle between Grand Central and Times Square is currently shut down. We expect it to be back up and normal by this evening's rush hour. I do want to also state that on November 6th, just a month or so ago, we had a tabletop exercise with the NYPD to coordinate our efforts in the event that something like this ever happened. And the result of that was today, in less than 2 hours, we are back totally up to speed and getting our passengers around. I want to especially thank not only the NYPD, but also our passengers and our customers for their patience. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take some questions. The question is did the subject utter anything before he detonated the device? Part of the investigation.
Where was the device located?
All right, the question is that transit seems to be an apparent target. Are there any weaknesses downstairs? Listen, we have almost 3,000 transit cops that work in the subway system every day. We have the strategic response group. We have the critical response command. All parts of the system are patrolled. Yes.
Can you describe, is it a belt, a backpack, or a vest? A little more about the device. And in the video, what does he look like he's doing? Does he look like he's waiting for a big crowd to gather? What is he doing?
All right, the question was, what does the device look like, and what was the subject doing before he detonated? John Miller can talk about that.
Without getting into too many specifics, the device is based on a pipe bomb. It was affixed to his person with a combination of Velcro and zip ties. The squad is in the process now, along with the FBI Special Agent Bomb Technicians, of processing that crime scene with others. They're going to gather up those pieces, and we'll have a better idea of what the device was put together with and what was inside it.
Any history on the work?
Hold on. Yeah, we're not going to go into that right now. Hold on, right here. Juliet, hold on, one at a time. Hold on, Juliet. That's Juliet. The question is, did he detonate it himself? In the video, you see him walking down the corridor. That's part of the investigation. We don't know that to be a fact just yet. Right behind Juliet. We're working on that right now. Yeah, right here. There have been incidents, starting with 9/11, but I'll let John talk about that a little bit. All right, sure.
So, as you all know, since the World Trade Center bombing of 1993, and well before that, New York City, as the media capital of the world, has been a target of terrorist attacks in the past. There was the World Trade Center bombing of 1993, the 9/11 attacks, and in the course of post 9/11 world, as you're aware, there's also been approximately 26 plots that we can talk about that have been prevented through intelligence investigation and interdiction. As you know, there was the Times Square bombing, which failed to detonate. There was the Chelsea bombing from September 17th of 16, and then there's this incident. So clearly, due to an immense effort that is put into this by the FBI, the NYPD, our intelligence and counterterrorism people, and everybody else, it's an all-hands effort. We have prevented a significant number of plots, a significant number of attacks, but this is a fact of life. Whether you're in New York or London or Paris The question is, can it happen here? And the answer is, it can happen anywhere.
Did he claim any connection to ISIS?
All right, hold on. Right here, in the front row.
Claim any connection to ISIS?
He did make statements, but the question is, did he claim connection to ISIS? He did make statements, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Right behind you. Hold on, right behind you. It's at 42 and 8. He's walking eastbound to 42 and 7. And so it's from this corner to Times Square underneath. If you're taking the subway, you know what the passageway I'm talking about. All right, hold on. In the back?
In a subway system of this size, that runs 24 hours, 7 days a week, I know you say you've got it all covered, but how can you possibly have it covered given its size and scope?
All right, the question is, the size of the subway system is massive. How can we have that how can we have that system covered? Listen, this is going to take the 6 million people that ride the train every day. It's going to take everybody to have their eyes open, pay attention to what's going on. If you see something that makes you uncomfortable, make that phone call or talk to a cop. Give us a chance to investigate. In the back.
Commissioner, you said he was unsuccessful. Was that his intended target where the bomb actually went off?
We don't know. The question is, was it intentional, the spot where he detonated the explosive device? We don't know that yet. Right here, Miles. Yeah, we're not going to. The question is that are we at different locations in Brooklyn? I'm not going to go into that right now. This is part of what we do. We're investigating his background now to see what addresses he have, and we'll fully investigate him and the locations where he lives. All right, listen, we're going to come back to you later on with some more information. Thank you very much. Thanks.